Hi, it's Steve Shakatans. Today I'm going to talk about influence. Yeah, so I'll just tell you a quick story. When I was 15 years old, I got sick and I had to have an operation. So I went to the hospital, had this operation. Before as I was getting sick, they didn't know quite what I had, so they gave me a bunch of drugs, and I ended up hooked on drugs. And so I was under the influence. I wanted them after the pain went away and I got better. I still wanted those drugs. So I was under the drugs influence, and I've thought a lot about this, and I believe that what happened after that was uh, I'll back up a little bit. So while I was in the hospital, I watched a video of a guy that lifted weights and worked out, and he really inspired me at that point. But anyway, so I'll fast forward. So I got hooked on drugs, um, and and that so I was under that influence. Now, once I got out, I wanted to take drugs, and the influence of the drugs attracted other people that were using drugs. So I became influenced by the wrong people. And so the influence there is, getting around those wrong people. And I want to encourage you today, take an inventory of who are the people that you're hanging around. Are you going to the bar every night? Are you around people at the bar? I mean, what are these people accomplishing in their lives? Ask yourself these questions. So here I am, 15, 16 years old. I'm not hanging around the right kind of people. The kind of people I'm around are doing drugs. And so, I heard somebody say one time that if you keep going to a barber shop, eventually you're going to get a haircut. It's kind of a funny thing, but if you think about it, who you're hanging around, you'll start to begin to think like them, and their influence on you will have an effect on, and it could have an effect on the rest of your life. It wasn't until I realized that there, the people that you spend a lot of, not casual, just a little bit of time is one thing, but spending a massive amount of time with people and really examine, take an inventory. Sometimes you get in your life and you have to make some hard choices and say, what, I'm just not going to hang. I love this person, but they're not a good influence on me. They all they talk about is their bad health, or all they, they're influenced on drugs, or they drink all the time, and it could be a family member. So my suggestion is don't realize how how much that has an effect on the rest of your life. It will have an effect on the rest of your life. So, what's the answer? What do you do? What do you do at this point? I mean, how do you navigate this? Because you might be thinking to yourself, oh, gosh, everybody in my whole family is bad influence on my life, and that might be where you find yourself. So take the time to sit down, and I understand that could be your situation, but you have to realize that the people that are in your life on a daily basis are going to influence you. And if you do what they do, you're going to get a haircut. You're going to end up on the same thing. If I go down and if I spend all day in the bar and just talking to people and saying, oh, I'm doing this because this is my way of socializing, and if I do that every day, pretty soon I'm going to be doing exactly what the people that I'm talking to are doing, which is probably not accomplishing a lot in their lives. I've got some goals and some dreams, and I want to go after those, and I don't believe I'm going to find that at the bar, at the local bar. So, and I'm going to probably start drinking again. So at any rate, I want to encourage you that if there is an answer to all this, and one of the ways, I I had a hard time, I got a hold of this stuff at 19 years old, 18 years old. Just when I turned 18, I started getting this. So first thing I did is I found a new person. I found a guy. So back to little thing about watching that guy working out and how much I really wanted to do that. I found a guy who worked out, and he was very dedicated and committed, and got him to train me. And I spent, he spent, 5 days a week. I got to go, and he trained me and worked out with me and showed me how to work out. And he became an influence on me. And this guy was a good influence. He wasn't using drugs. He was focused on his health, and he was, committed to what he was doing. And that influenced me, and I began to be like that instead of the whole drug thing. So, again, influence is that important that we. I hope I'm explaining this in a way that you can get it. I guess I could tell a little story. I heard this story about the little bird, and there's this little bird, and he's crying, and he's got his wing up over his head, and he's crying, and the owl says to him, he says, "Oh, little bird, well, why are you crying?" And the little bird pulled his wing back, and the owl says, "Oh, I know why you're crying. Big Bird pecked your eye out." And the little bird looked up and said, I'm not crying because Big Bird poked my eye out. I'm crying because I let him." So, the we have the power to let the right influences into our life. So, I let this guy influence me, and he was a good influence. So, in other words, look at who you're letting influence you, and then you've got the power to decide if who or what can influence you. So, now, if you're in a situation where there's just no way, there's no way, you can't find anyone to influence you. You can't find anyone good to influence. I mean, everybody around you is not a good influence, and you know this, and you've come to this realization. What do you do at that point? Well, for one thing, I want to show you a couple of books. So, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. I got that upside down. So, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This is a book you can read. This is a new one that I just heard about. I haven't read this yet, but Transurfing. I've been highly recommended this book. But these are influence yourself. I mean, right now with our technology, I spend between 2 and 4 hours every day watching YouTube videos of people that are like Jim Rohn, Napoleon Hill, Tony Robbins. I mean, there's these people on there. I let those people influence me, and that's what I've been doing for a lot of years, reading these types of books, studying this stuff, letting that influence me. So that when I'm not around, when I'm by myself, what do? I constantly let that stuff go in, and let that stuff influence me, and and keep your mind on that. I try. You might say, well, that's how much time do you spend watching TV? And entertaining yourself. Examine yourself and take an inventory. Say, well, where am I? I mean, if I'm watching TV I used to watch TV, just mindless TV shows, 4 to 6 hours. Let that entertain me. I'll watch TV shows, I'll watch comedy, watch all this stuff, and movies. Just I spent all this time doing that, and it's like, wow, I'm way out of balance here. So I may be a little bit out of balance on this other way, but I'm letting that influence me. And so these are the types of things you can do. So if you find yourself in a situation where just no one around you is a good influence, and this, they're breaking law, they're partying all the time, and you want to get out of this. Sometimes you just get yourself lost in these books. Let this stuff become an obsession. So many people let things become an obsession. I let using drugs and partying become an obsession for a few years in my life when I was a teenager, and had the great fortune of just having, seems like my whole life collapsed around me, and I was able to get a hold of this stuff at a really young age, and it does work. I mean, it's so easy. Just push play. It takes the people out there say it takes 21 days to create a habit. I think sometimes it might take a little longer than that. But when you have, well, like what I do, I've got these people talking in my ear when I'm listening to these YouTube videos, every single day. So I'm getting this encouragement from them, and it's becoming a lifestyle. It's a lifestyle, and it's a change of thinking. The thoughts are so powerful. You become what you think about, and you actually become what other people think about, because if they're an influence on you, you will start to think like them. And if they're thinking lack and struggle and poverty and revenge and those types of things, that will have an effect on you. And even if you're just watching it on television, that's why I'm very careful. I got rid of cable. I choose what I watch, and I make sure that the stuff I'm watching is good stuff going in there. So anyway, there is an answer to this. Is it easy? No. Would most, I've heard that only, even people that go to spend money and go to seminars to watch people, only 10% of the people ever actually act or do anything with that information. So it's like 10% of the people will do anything with this stuff. So I guess at one point I just decided I'm going to be in that 10% or 1% of the people that actually are going to do this stuff, read these books, listen to these videos, realize that I'm not so powerful, that these influences they do have an effect, and they will have an effect on the way it has an effect on my finances, on my health, all of it. If I'm around someone that overeats, just nonstop overeats, that will have an effect on me. And so, and because you become like the people that you associate with and you be around. So I'll begin to overeat and do that. So I'm really glad to be able to talk about this. There's more to it than this, but my encouragement is that I know that sometimes you get in a place where it's like, man, if I won't have any friends. I found myself in that situation, and you know what? If that's all your friendship is just all about partying and doing and what they can get out of me, then how are they really a friend? Do I really need that in my life? And so I had to come to that. And yeah, there's been some lonely days and nights, but is it worth it? Yeah, I think it is. Like I said, I'm 54 years old today. I've got the energy of a 20-year-old. I'm in the best shape of my life physically. I'm financially, I can do win or whatever I want to do. I got a successful business. Things are good. So, and it's because of this. It's the influence. I'm letting the right people influence me, and I'm keeping those. And I'm not saying that we just turn our backs on people that are having struggles. I'm not saying that, and I'm not saying that someone that's partying every day that I don't have anything to do with them. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that limit your time with that person. Don't spend the bulk of your time with someone who isn't going where you want to go. Find people with goals, if that's unless that's what you want to do. But the cool thing about life is you get to decide, you get to choose. You have control over your own thoughts. And I guess that's the most exciting thing about this life, is that you can direct your thoughts. You have that control. It doesn't have to be done for you. So hopefully this is an encouragement to you today. And I'm very passionate about this stuff. And like I said, I made this goal to make these videos, so I'm going to be making them every day. I'm not sure where they're going to end up, but hopefully this will help you. Let the right people influence you. You'll be happy that you've done this. So anyway, have a great day, and I'll see you next time.